Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We have quite a few things today, and one of them is a super big surprise. So we're going to do the other things first. On the calendar, it is Strawberry Day. Strawberries for everybody. So, of course, I have to get out the strawberry Just Add Shortcake, which is designed by Wendy Shepard using my birdsong fabric. Isn't that fabulous? We're going to do a sew along for this, waiting for the kits to come and be available. They're cutting them now. So I want to scroll in so you can see this great quilting. Each of the strawberries is done with this wonderful, wonderful swirl. You think you can see it on that dark one pretty good, right? Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now I want to show you one of the strawberries up close. So I have one of the blocks. Look how juicy and cute that is. I just can't wait till we do this sew along. It's going to be so much fun. Now there are two other quilts that you can make with my birdsong that have things that I'm going to focus on. One, there's actually another kit. So let me just show you that one here. This was also being kitted up, so for those of you who are not into strawberries, there is a kit for my birdsong. And then, of course, the big star, which is done with the panel. So that's this picture here. So all of those will kind of be going on in a similar time. I don't have a date because I'm sort of waiting for the kits to come in, because then you have to order them and they have to get into you. So it'll be several weeks, which means maybe like the end of June into early July before we would start. I think that's probably a reasonable thing to think. But just to get you excited on Strawberry Day. Now it is, because it's Strawberry Day, if you happen to have a quilt that you've made with strawberries, share it in the community today. If you happen to have another fruit, share that. I remember years ago, the designers from Pizza Cake, they do applique. They did, I think it was 9 blocks of fruits that was just so awesome. I always wanted to do it and never did. You know, it's one of those things, like I still remember it. They think they probably still have a pattern for it, but it was just so cool. It always sticks in my head when I think of quilts with fruit on it. Okay, the other thing today is block 6 of Will You Be My Neighbor? So that is this very, very cool house block. Isn't that neat? It is a big block. So this is a very, very large house block. I think it's super awesome. I'm using, Christmas fabrics within here. So in the windows is this print that is not really that Christmassy. It's a floral, but it came from a Christmas line, sort of red and green. And then down here I have peppermints, and I have this print that had sort of wintry scene on it. It was kind of, I don't know if it was a vintage print or not, but it was sort of cute. So that's, so you can see mine isn't like super Christmassy. These are actually hearts on this red print. So that is your assignment for Will You Be My Neighbor? Let me just pin this guy up here so that if you want to see it while we're talking, there we go. Get him up on the wall there. Okay, let's go to the super duper amazing special thing that I have for you. First, let me show you before I hang it up, because it came all neatly folded. This is a quilt on loan to me so that I can share it with you. It's not my quilt. So look at this. Can you guess what this might be? Now in the picture for the video, I showed you the back of it with me in front of it. So give me a second and I will hang it up and we'll get to see. Yes, 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 this is the original red Zinger quilt from Griska. Isn't it awesome? When Karen wrote me and said, we've been writing back and forth a little bit, and when she wrote me and said, would you like to borrow the quilt? I'm like, yes, the angels sang. Oh my gosh, you may have seen the fireworks go off. It's like, that is incredible. I am so honored and delighted that she is lending it to me to look at and to share with you here on my video. So cool. So what I want to do is switch over to the other camera, and I will just scan across the quilt a little bit so that you can see the salvages and just talk a little bit about what she has done there. It is amazing to look at. I just can't wait to do mine now. And I showed Karen, I think she said she watched a few of the videos and she saw how many salvages I have. She goes, oh, you have plenty. So that'll be good to know. So first, let's just go look at it a bit close up. We'll go ahead and just start up here in the top left. For those of you who have not gotten the pattern yet, the link is at her Etsy store. This is the block. So that is the block unit. And I'm going to show you that a little bit closer up. So they're just layered, which is so very cool. And you can see sometimes she used ones that were not all white, which I think that's fabulous. I was thinking of doing all white. See, she has some here that don't have any dots, you know, lots of words and things. Oh, very cool. Look at this fabric. Look how cool that is. So, and just amazing to use up those little salvages that we have that we're just tossing away. So you can make quilts out of them, lots of quilts. Oh, look here. Look at that. Looks like houses all along there. That's so cool. So there are, I don't know how many blocks, but you get the pattern. You can see all of that. But I just thought I'd scan along and show you. Here's some gorgeous cave. Now she did the red and I'm going to do red. I'm not doing a solid. She has a solid red. I have a red that has a little bit of texture in it. So let's come down and look down here. Now, as you can see, some of the salvages, as you know from being a quilter and having fabric, some are a little bit frayed like that on the edge and others are firm. I find more of them frayed nowadays than before, so I don't know if the manufacturing process had changed. I have to find out sometime. But there, I love this alternating design that it creates. You know, that long diamond and the squatty diamond. Yeah, so when you're up close, you kind of see the diamonds, don't you? But when you're further away, you get that sort of jacks, like, you know, like the jacks that you play with. That's what I think about with that guy. And then I want to show you the inner border that she selected. We'll just walk up. So she has this black and white. So it's white, mostly white, with a little bit of black wavy line. And I think that that works out so well. So here's a salvage, like the dots have no color. Isn't that bizarre? Why'd they bother? There's a little girl in there. How cute is that? How cute. Now she also just did a nice soft wave quilt. This quilt is heavy. These get heavy with all of this. These fabrics weigh a bit more on the edge because they're thicker. So she did this really nice soft wave across all of it, which keeps it together, is very effective. And on the, you know, border is just like a piano key. That's what you call, you know, verticals. And there we go, all along the edge. Uses up more of them. Let's just take a back view. So awesome. Could this be any more awesome? I can't tell you. I was jumping up and down. Yes. I just can't believe that she lent this to me to show it to you and for me to look at up close and personal. Just awesome. I mentioned this before. I loved her quilt as soon as I saw it when she was making it online, when I was following her blog. Then it was published in a magazine and then she published it in her own patterns. So let me show you the label. Let's take a look at this quick. I want to show you this super clever label. So Karen used some ribbon here, and then there are more salvages, and then down below where I have the card covering is her address and everything. But isn't that the coolest thing? So neat. See, there's ways that you can use the salvages. You might do a label like that with the salvages from the fabrics in the quilt that you just made. Not that they're used anyplace else, but you could use them in the label. I've included a piece here and there in some of mine. And like I said yesterday on the video, you know, it'd be neat to start doing fancier labels, because that's a lot of fun. I've just been doing basic labels for many years, but you know, why not? Why not change it up, do something a little bit more interesting? Now, Karen also sent along for me to show you a few samples of the block done without red, and I wanted to show you those and take a box of salvages and play around with placement and talk about that for a few minutes. So we're going to go to the back side and do that. First, to tell you, Karen sent me a selvage from her collection for me to add to my quilt. So this is definitely going to go on my very first block. Nice, right? Love it. Now I am going to use in the middle this fabric, which is by Benartex, and you can see here it's got a texture on it. It's a little bit more Christmassy red than Karen's. Karen's is a touch darker, and it's a solid. It's a little bit leaning towards the blue, towards the burgundy. So mine's a bit brighter red, and here is the selvage, which of course also will go in the quilt. Maybe on the label, that might be a good place for it to be sure I see what fabric I use for that base. Okay, let's take a look. She sent me a couple of sample blocks with different colors in the middle. So I want to look at those first, and then we will go ahead and just play around with my selvages, just lay them out a little bit, and then later I'm going to sew that up before I send, I'll sew at least one block before I send her quilt back. Got to do that, right? So here we go. She was so nice. Karen Griska was so nice to create these extra blocks for us to sort of look at how the whole thing works. This dark gray is really nice. What that's going to do is going to simulate what she has with her red, because it is going to allow all of these to pop. It sort of recedes back because the darks recede back. And here you can see how her selvages look. I thought it'd be fun to see them up close. So she's got a solid stitching line which anchors down, you know, the beginning parts, and then like here's one with fringe. So there's actually more fabric from this selvage underneath that fringe. But that's just the way the fringes are going to be. So they're going to take up a little bit more space than the ones that have no fringe. For no fringe, you can get real close to the edge. The fringe ones, you're going to have a little bit of overhang. So if you want more fabric showing, you'll need to just adjust that a bit. I love this. So she's got dots, 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 dots. Here is something with like a little stitching line. That's so cool. I love all these blue dots. Looks like a blueberry fabric was in there. Okay, so there's gray. She's given me several of these to share. There's a gray one, and oops. Okay, well, I picked up two. Okay, here we go. Here's one with yellow. Now what I noticed is with a lighter color, she wants to be sure that you don't lose this center by the edge. So she's making sure that her edges are not white, basically, because otherwise this could blend off, and of course you wouldn't want them to be yellow. You wouldn't want anything with yellow. Like I'm going to, like here's one that's not no printing, no dots on this piece. It's just the selvage from the other side of the fabric. So there's one tip. Oh, look here, the playing cards. Cool. All right, here's with white. The same issue as yellow, but even more so is that she got to really distinctly make this line so that you don't lose that image. This would be kind of cool if you wanted to do some embroidery afterwards. Those of you who like to do embroidery, you could put it on your embroidery machine and put something in here. That would be fabulous. Okay, and the last one she sent was the turquoise. And I believe the turquoise is in the pattern, like the full quilt, so you can see it. And this is one that a lot of people like. A lot of people like the turquoise. I could see myself, if I did a second one, doing it with turquoise, because that would be very, very fun. And the pattern is just going to, walk you through and tell you exactly how to line everything up. It's awesome. Okay, so what do I have? You're starting with a square, and what I want to do is just, I'm not going to build the block so much, is just sort of play with the selvages just to show you, because it's here, it's fun, we got to do that. So here's some things that came in recently. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize this is cows, Santa cows. Look at that, holy moly. So we'll just lay them here. And here's one with pigs. There's pig, oh, they're the buffalo, sorry, they're buffalo or bison. So, like if you're going to be laying these out, there would be like how much of the cow. Like for me, if I'm going to lay this out, I want to see some cow. I don't want it to be like down here where you barely tell. I want to get some cow faces in there. Then you might do, let's see, if I was going to do another one here with the words. Now, this one's a bit short. There's not much green. So that means for me, if I have one here like with not much green, then I need to be sure the one that I put on top of it that's going to cover that raw edge is one without fringe, so that I can get as close as possible to that edge and still have some fabric showing. This is why you need to have a little bit more than this amount of fabric. This is kind of a little slim, so a little bit more than that would be preferable. Okay, we'll do another one on the end here. So there we go. Sometimes I don't want the words that it says. Like this one says, not intended for children's sleepwear. Okay, we would rather have this pretty wording instead, right? That's like, that would be much nicer. So there would be some pretty wording. And then would be to decide, do I want to put something else all the way out on the very end? Like here we go. Or just leave this, because you're going to trim the block a little bit, but I would probably, you know, maybe play around with having something else. So there would be a sequence of fabrics and my thought process of how to handle getting those down there. Oh, when I do a block later, we will talk a little bit, when I actually sew one, talk a little bit about some tips. This is so fun. I can't believe that I have the real quilt here. What an awesome day. This has been just so cool. As a true confession, she sent me the box. I did not open the quilt until just now when I taped on the video. I wanted to feel it as I opened it and show you. So this is the first that I've had it open, and honestly, I'm going to leave it in here for a little while. She said I could keep it for a little while. I'm not going to keep it too long, but I'll keep it, you know, send it back to her sometime next week. So I will show it again, and you know, because it's here. So we'll talk about salvages again another day before I send it back sometime later next week. So today is celebrating strawberries. You can download your patterns. You can get a notification for when the kits come in. All the links are below and at my website today. Whee! And oh, also, if you have not entered for the red and white books yet, be sure you do that, because that ends very, very soon. Okay, my friend, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.